Hello, my name is Drew Horn. I'm the guy who makes jewelry at the Master's Jewel. Here we are, we're at my casting studio. This morning I'm pouring a couple flasks of silver, making a bunch of tuxedo sets and some rings. Let me show you around. Okay, what we have is a pretty simple setup. I've got it tied down to a couple of tight systems. First of all, our kiln, our ventilation system, which is not on right now because I wanted the sound to be quieter. Here's our casting machine and my electric metal furnace. Next to it, we've got a fireproof top on our table with tongs for holding flasks, a carbon stirring rod, tongs for our metal melter, and 2 cooling chambers. I'll tell you about those later. Here's our fireproof gloves and our toxic gas mask. I'm supposed to be wearing that right now, but you can't very well talk through it. Normally I do, though. Trust me. Yesterday evening, we finished up a bunch of waxes and put them into our, invested them rather, in flasks. Here's one flask out of 4 that has basically spent the night in the kiln, slowly rising from 200 degrees up to 1250. Before casting, we let them sit at 900 degrees for an hour, so they normalize their temperature. It cools the inside of the flask a little bit, so when you pour the metal in, it locks up and creates a good tight surface on the casting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab that flask and forgot to show you. We also have silver, about 3 ounces of silver melting right now in here. Rather hot, as you can tell. Don't know how much of that detail you can see, but we try and keep the hands and arms away from that one. Okay, let's put you down. Got to get kitted up for handling hot objects. There's the flask. Inside there are chambers in the shape of the jewelry. We turn on the vacuum machine. Getting feel here. There we are. Excellent. What this is doing now is creating a vacuum underneath the flask, pulling air through the hole and creating a negative air pressure inside the castings, or the cavities. And that way when we pour the metal in, it's most likely to fill. Here's the metal. And it goes. Seems like an okay casting. A piece of silver on the top there. Now this is setting up. It's still very much liquid inside. The top's just now freezing. We usually let it set for about 45 seconds on the casting machine. As soon as that cools, we put it in a chamber. Well, as soon as that freezes up good, which I think is probably about it, we let the vacuum down. And then it goes in a cooling chamber. This is basically a big can. And I'm setting it on fireproof rock. What we need to do to prevent what's called fire scale on the finished castings is let the thing slowly cool down in an oxygen-free environment. Fire scale is like a copper coating on the silver, which is just ridiculous to get off. It takes way too much work, if at all, it comes off. So what we do is we put it on this fireproof brick with a can over it, and then I put some old waxes on top of the hot flask. What that does is then the wax ignites, burns up all the oxygen inside the can. Okay, that's it. And then it sits in there for 15 minutes. Just so happens right now we have another flask that's been cooling. I just cast previously. As you can see, it's starting to look kind of silver as it's going down. See if I can manage the camera. At this point, it's still very hot. You couldn't touch it. So you put it in water. This is 17 minutes later after casting. You can feel it vibrating through the flask as the water turns to steam in there. It also blows out a lot of the investment, which is the plaster around the piece, around the casting. Now normally, if I had three hands, I would also be chipping away at it while I'm cooling it, but I'm just going to do it this way right now so I can hold the camera. Okay. You can see, there's the casting. Cool that off a little bit, and there's the piece. You can see there's a couple of rings, some cufflinks, shirt studs. Still really dirty. After I will take a toothbrush to it and give it a good cleaning, put it in the ultrasonic for a few minutes, it'll look something more like this one. You can see it. That's called a tree. That's the casting tree. The sprues in the center, all the pieces come off like branches. Well, and that's pretty much it. That's the casting process, taking it from the overnight burnout all the way through to quenching the casting and getting ready for finishing. Thanks for looking.